MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. If you want to have a grasp of all the transport in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages as usual. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are streaming live at Ion Port. Now, we shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which will crawl on your screen very soon, and then we shall, read them to the rest of the world when the time is ripe. Now, when the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall also activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP. Wufilia. Huh? Wubefi. Goil, good energy. Yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
So you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry during the week. And indeed, during the week, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT, held its Logistics and Transport Conference here in Accra. We'll let you know what the details are. Plus the fact that there was a training to assess and improve fisheries monitoring and surveillance capabilities in Ghana. This was a pilot. We'll take a look at that one too. These and more, please enjoy.
The Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport has successfully held its 2024 Logistics and Transport Conference, Exhibition and Annual General Meeting in Accra. The event brought together local and international industry players and decision makers to discuss solutions focused on advancing a green economy and sustainability. The two-day conference served as a solution-oriented platform for professional members, industry practitioners, policymakers, academics, and experts to engage in discussions on the latest trends, challenges, and innovations in the logistics, transport, and supply chain sectors. The president of CILT Ghana, Engineer Mark Amwama, noted despite Ghana's effort to transition to a green and circular economy, the country has yet to make significant strides in that direction.
The vision of this conference is solution-focused. Our conversation and discussions are to consider what green and circular opportunities there are to Ghana, new frameworks and strategies for enhancing green and circular economy. Indeed, opportunities for job creation. We must deliberate and intentionally drive this transition as professionals.
CILT International President Chief Titi Owusu-Nortey emphasized that despite the pivotal role of transport and logistics in sustaining economies, providing employment and fostering social interaction, the profession remains undervalued.
And it's hard to encourage new talents and professionals to join our sector. However, as part of the legacy project of my presidency, I've instituted an international day to acknowledge and celebrate the contribution the industry played in society.
In a speech delivered on behalf of the Minister of Transport by the Director of Planning, Programming, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ministry of Transport, Irene Mesiba, she noted that the government remains committed to promoting green transportation through key policies and regulations aimed at addressing developmental challenges.
To lay the foundation for decarbonization, a National Energy Transition Framework 2022 to 2070 has been developed. This framework will ensure that Ghana's transition is achieved in a just and equitable manner.
She added that recognizing the critical role of the logistics and supply chain industry in economic growth, the government has improved physical infrastructure and services at seaports and airports to support economic development.
In the maritime sector, the two main seaports of Tema and Takoradi have been expanded to establish and maintain their status as the leading ports and centers of commerce and industry in West Africa.
In his presentation, the group chairman of the Magdan Group of Companies, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, hinted at plans to revive the defunct Black Star Line to boost intra-African trade.
I want to brave it, I want to invest, I want to take the risk so that association like CILT, Conship, and all the rest should come in to buy a share so that it become a national vessel. We are reviving the Black Star Line.
As part of the ongoing promoting transparency, accountability, and local capacity to address the destabilizing impact of foreign distant water fishing vessels project, a pilot training workshop was held in Accra last Wednesday. The workshop aimed to evaluate and improve the capabilities and functionalities of key agencies such as the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Division of the Fisheries Commission, the Ghana Navy, and the Marine Police. This initiative marks a critical step ahead of Phase 2 of the project. The project, launched 20 months ago by the Center for Maritime Law and Security Africa, in collaboration with the Center for Coastal Management at the University of Cape Coast, is funded by the U.S. Department of State. It is being implemented in 7 countries across the Gulf of Guinea and Mauritania, namely Benin, Cameroon, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Mauritania. Key talking points during the workshop included legal and institutional frameworks guiding fisheries management, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing practices, as well as operational and ethical challenges of monitoring, control, and surveillance centers in Ghana. The team lead at Semlos Africa, Dr. Kamal Dean Ali, spoke to Ion Port on the sidelines of the workshop.
Ghana is one of the countries where the industrial sector is generally reserved for nationals. But when you go into it in detail, you realize that there's a lot of foreign beneficial participation and control in the industrial sector. So we are also working on a strategy. We have had initial consultations with industry. We build upon that. We'll have another consultation with industry next month to validate the strategy. And this will be presented at the policy level and hopefully adopted by the ministry and the country as a pathway to be able to reposition the industrial sector.
On his part, the director of the Center for Coastal Management, University of Cape Coast, Professor Dennis Aheto, emphasized the need for actors in the fisheries sector to develop a regional approach to development.
Through IUU fishing, you allow your seas to be poached. You know, it creates a lot of problem for other countries. That's why we need to have this regional. There's a need for the regional bodies to come together. Countries to come together to support the regional bodies to work together.
The deputy director at the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Division at the Fisheries Commission, who is one of the training participants, Dr. Charles Tay, said the program will help his outfit regulate the marine fisheries space.
At every 1 hour, we check every vessel that is within our EEZ. If you don't have our vessel VMS on you, we have AIS that we could use to check. So this is in line with helping to curb IUU fishing in our waters.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry during the week. We are now going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word or phrase is short-landed. Short-landed.
Short-landed. Short-landed refers to cargo volume count at delivery destination less than originally shipped.
All right, so welcome back. We are going to zoom into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we are talking E-VAT. We're going to take a look at the impact of E-VAT implementation and on businesses and tax compliance in Ghana. The GRA is rolling out the electronic VAT system, and we have a team from there. Let me introduce them. To my immediate right is Dr. Stephen Nabarize. Yes, Dr. Stephen Nabarize, ladies and gentlemen, is a member of the E-VAT project team at the Ghana Revenue Authority. Good evening, Sir Doc, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Also in the studios is Madam Felicia Omotayo Owusu. She's no stranger to Ion Port. She's been here before, and she's also a member of the E-VAT team, Ghana Revenue Authority. Good evening, ma'am, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Right, so we shall come back and zoom into the discussion proper. But tonight, we're still in the month of October. And remember, it's all about Pink October. It's all about breast cancer and the awareness that we seek to create. The other time we had IMA here, they came and told us what we needed to do, both men and women. And they were saying that what you have to do is to go quickly, go and check, so that you can detect it early. That would give us a much better, as it were, survival rate, if we want to fight it and win. Now, tonight we are bringing you a story about a woman who has survived breast cancer. She's no other person but the director of port for Tema, Madam Sandra Opoku. We have a 12-minute video of her giving her testimony and advising fellow women on what to do so as to fight and prevent breast cancer. Let's take a look at the video.
In May
2014, just doing my normal morning check, I realized that there was a lump in my left breast, and that was Sunday morning. So Monday morning I reported to the clinic, and they put me on some medication and did some tests to check if it was benign or there was something else. But I just felt that this one was different because I had had a lump before, and within a month, it had disappeared. And so it was after 2 weeks, they said I should go and do an incision. So I went to do that, and we took the sample to the pathologist, and came out that yes, I had breast cancer. So that's when the journey really began. You keep quiet for a while, you ask yourself a lot of questions. And then after that, I braced myself up for what was next, because I knew I had to go through treatment. And so I psyched up myself for that. I talked to the doctor. He assured me that this is what you have to go through. And I was ready. And I think that it's the fear that keeps people away from going to the hospital or to seek treatment. And once I shared my story with some people, and I told them, look, if you get malaria, if you get typhoid, you go to the hospital, they put you on treatment, and you go through it. So it's the same. Yes, cancer, we know it's difficult, it's a deadly disease, but it's the same treatment. If you have to go through treatment, you have to go through it. Yes, I did a lot of psyching up. I did a lot of praying myself to be sure that yes, I am ready. And after I had spoken to the doctors, I was looking for alternatives, because we all know chemo will come with losing your hair. So, but this was the best alternative I had at the time. So I said, no problem, I'll go through it. And I started, this is October 2014. And we did about 6 cycles, and I finished in February 2015, and I followed up with radiotherapy. And when you go for chemotherapy, the nausea is quite strong afterwards, and it will come, for me it would come a day after or 2 days after the treatment. It will really hit you. At the time I started, I had braids on, and then the lumps started coming off, a whole bunch of hair to come off. So I got some nice wig caps, and I realized that, look, even those who have hair are wearing wigs, so what's the big deal? And I started buying the wig caps. And then after the second cycle, I realized my fingernails were getting dark. I'm not one to put on a lot of nail polish, especially on my fingers, but so that nobody asks me any questions, I go for the brightest red, for my fingernails, and also my toenails as well. So I told myself that I will come to work every day, and there's no need sitting at home and moping about this, because otherwise psychologically you'll be defeated. So I'll come to work, I'll go to court, whatever it is, I'll make sure I'll do it. And when it got to the radiotherapy, I told them I want it first thing in the morning. So I go there by 8 o'clock, I am done, and come back to the office. And I remember when I was about to start, a doctor told me, if you use aloe vera on the area where you're going to have the radiotherapy, it reduces the effect on the skin. And it actually helped. So I had some plants in the house, and I would always rub it morning, evening. So I didn't see the redness or, how parched your skin becomes when, you go through radiotherapy. So for me, this is how I helped myself. And of course, my faith also came in. And I remember I came across this scripture in Psalm 91. He says he will save you from the deadly pestilence. And I said, God, this is a deadly pestilence. So this one, me and you. So I think my faith really helped me through. You don't want to sit and then you'll be thinking about all this negativity and how you're going to go through it. No, no, no. Occupy yourself. If you're working and you are not broken down, please go to work. It will take your mind off things, and focus on things that really are important to you, your family. And for my children, I didn't tell them. I thought they were young, so I didn't tell them. But I remember once on a weekend when the nausea really hit me and I went to throw up. They followed me to the bathroom and I have 2 boys and a girl. The 2 boys, they said, hey, are you pregnant? I just burst out. If you only knew. I mean, if it was just pregnancy, that would be good. And I don't even know who told them that if you are pregnant, you throw up. He said, look, if you are pregnant, make sure you give birth to another boy. Not this naughty. The girl was really terrible at the time, 2 years. So another naughty girl like this one. I said, oh, God. But it was a funny experience for me that, look, in this state, this is what they are thinking about. But I got through it. It was later that my firstborn said, last year you lost your hair and I've been reading up on this. Did you have this? And I said, so why didn't you tell us? I thought, I didn't want to, spoil the mood in the house and all that. So, and we still got along. They'll go to school, I come to work, everything. And I think that the support from my family, my mom, my husband, as for me, at the point I had to assure it's going to be all right. Then he was surprised, where I was getting the strength from. And I said, look, if I break down, the whole family will break down, So I had to be strong for myself and for the family as well. With what I went through, I wasn't in any form of pain. So I told myself, if I can still get up and go to work, I have to do it. I didn't see, there was nothing physically that you could tell, that was going on. So unless I tell you, you wouldn't know. Even the doctors at Kolebu, some of them commended me that, look, this one, if you don't tell people that there's something wrong, nothing. And, I like to dress well. And when I get to Kolebu, they know that I am there. they will ask me, why I say I'm coming here? So it's the same attitude I came to work with. You come to work, you don't decide that now you are not going to dress properly because there's something, everybody should know that there's something wrong with you, And I delivered. And sometimes I will go to court and then go to Kolebu. After my first treatment, that's when I realized that, oh, okay, I can drive myself. I think I wanted that independence. My husband wanted to take me. He took me the first time and I said, I think I'll be fine, so let me drive. So after court on Thursdays, then I go to Kolebu, do it, and then go and get a nice restaurant, eat well, and then come back. And, I remember sometimes I'll pass through a friend's place to have lunch. He said, are you sure you're coming from Kolebu? You just finished chemo. I said, yes, I just finished chemo. I said, oh, okay, I think you made the devil ashamed. I said, yes, that's what I want to do. And so it begins with your own conviction and who you believe in. That this is a phase. I'm going to get through it. So for me, that's what it was. And thank God that I got through it. All right, when I found out I was diagnosed in 2014, I was a legal manager then. And definitely at that time, I had no idea I was going to end up as the director of port. I knew, yes, maybe I'll become the head of department for legal department, that's it. But what I'll say is that anything that you meet, whichever storm, whether it's sickness, whether it is any difficulty, just know that that is not the end of the road. Because from legal manager, I am now director of port. That shows that God had better plans for me. But if I had succumbed to the storm at the time, I wouldn't be here. So your story should not just end when there's a problem. There will always be problems, but it is how you overcome it that, you know, that is what brings the real victory. So once you meet anything, just psych up yourself that you are stronger than this issue that you've met, and then decide that I'll work towards it to ensure that I overcome it. For you should know your own breasts, and you should know the size, you should know if there's something wrong. You should be the first person to notice. And this also comes with examination. If you're not doing the examination, you might not notice. And then looking in the mirror to see what is wrong, you know. And then this is where they're meant to, you love the breasts as much as the women. And so if there's something wrong, you should also be able to, you know, point it out to your spouse that there's something wrong somewhere. And as soon as you find whether it is in the shape or some dimple or some lump, immediately you report to the hospital, and then you follow up with the treatment. I'm saying that there are some people who get to the hospital, they are told about chemo, and then they go back home, they don't want to go back to the hospital. And then they end up at only their prayer camp. By all means pray, but please follow up with the treatment and make sure that you go through it to the very last.
So that was Madam Sandra Opoku, a breast cancer survivor who is the director of port for Tema. She got it, she immersed herself in it, she psyched herself up, and then she went for the treatment. And I like the bit where she said, look, after chemo, she goes to a good restaurant, gets some good food, she feeds well. And that tells you that, look, if she has been able to do it, you can do this. Nothing that's holding you back from fighting and winning the breast cancer battle. Madam, we thank you so much for not holding back, but deciding to share your story with the rest of the world so that they can learn from your example and also fight and win. We are grateful. Right, so let's come back into the studios and then we can begin our discussion. I've introduced my guests to you already who are seated. Madam Felicia Omotayo Owusu. Omotayo Owusu, who is with the E-VAT. She's a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Revenue Authority. And indeed, we also have in the studios Dr. Nabarese. Yes, who's also a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Revenue Authority. So let me begin. I'm going to apply the ladies first principle here today. So I'll begin with Madam Omotayo Owusu and find out from you, if you can just take us back to basics and tell us what E-VAT is.
By VAT registered taxpayers to their clients. We started E-VAT in 2022 as a project, and so far we've been able to onboard a lot of taxpayers. It is not a new tax. I always want to emphasize on that because people might think that because it's something new, it's a new tax. No, it is part of the digitalization agenda in our strategic plan.
Right.
So it is not a new tax. It is just an invoicing system that we have used so that we can be able to monitor or authenticate and validate the invoices that VAT taxpayers issue out in real time. So basically, it is just an electronic means of issuing invoices to our clients.
So you are emphatic that it's not a new tax?
No, it is just a compliance tool. It is not a new tax. the same rate of tax applies. So for standard rate traders, we have 15% VAT and then 6% levies. And then for flat rates traders, we have 3% VAT and then 1% covered, making it 4%. Nothing has changed. It is just the invoicing that we have done. So the manual way of issuing invoices, we have moved from that to cater for the electronic invoices.
All right, so let me come to Doc and find out from you who it is that qualifies to issue E-VAT.
As Felicia said, it's an invoicing regime that replaces the manual way of issuing invoices, meaning that all VAT registered taxpayers are those who are eligible to issue the electronic VAT invoices. So it goes for all VAT registered taxpayers. So meaning that taxpayers who in the former regime were issuing manual invoices, that's what we call the Commissioner General's invoice. And then taxpayers who were given some dispensation to issue own computer-generated invoices. All that group of taxpayers now fall in the electronic invoice, and that is the E-VAT. So all taxpayers who are registered for VAT are eligible. And also taxpayers who are coming on board to register for the VAT tax type would also be given the mandate to issue electronic invoices.
All right, so imagine that I currently have a business, I'm a business, and I issue VAT invoices. Now, if I continue to issue the normal VAT invoices before the rollout of the E-VAT, am I going to be migrated, perhaps seamlessly, if you'd agree, onto the E-VAT?
All right.
Or that stops when the E-VAT takes effect?
All right. So, so there is a mechanism for the rollout of the E-VAT by the Commissioner General. So what happened was that in 2022, when the law was amended, we started with a pilot phase. So we started with a pilot phase. And then after the pilot phase, we did the first phase of issuing invoices through the E-VAT and selected taxpayers who were onboarded onto the E-VAT. Now we are in the second phase, where we are onboarding 4,000 taxpayers onto the E-VAT. What happens is that the Commissioner General selects taxpayers based on certain mechanisms to be onboarded on the E-VAT in a phase. And so if you are a taxpayer, a VAT taxpayer who has been issuing manual invoices and you have been selected for onboarding onto the E-VAT and you are onboarded, you cease immediately to issue the manual invoices or the own computer-generated invoices because you are onboarded onto the E-VAT, and now you continue to issue the electronic invoices. However, if you are a taxpayer who has not yet been selected, you will continue in the traditional regime of issuing invoices until you are selected to be onboarded. But there are taxpayers who voluntarily also come to be onboarded onto the system. So if you are even not selected by the Commissioner General and you volunteer to be onboarded, the GRA is ready to onboard you to be able to issue the invoices through the electronic regime. So it is not as a seamless rollout, but it is that you are going to be onboarded, you'll be selected and onboarded. So the mechanism is that by next year, all taxpayers who are VAT registered taxpayers, all taxpayers would be onboarded onto not automatically, would all be taken on board and taken through the onboarding and onboarded onto the E-VAT by the GRA. All taxpayers.
Okay. Have you held stakeholder engagements on this particular
Yes.
E-VAT thing?
Yes. So we've had a couple of stakeholder engagements. So what we have done is that before any onboarding takes place, we engage taxpayers who have been selected. So even as we speak, we have started an engagement with taxpayers. We started on Thursday. Tomorrow, Monday, we are having about 400 taxpayers.
On Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
For the second phase, the second batch of the second phase. So what we are having is that we have 4,000 taxpayers for the second phase. We've done an engagement and we have started onboarding the 2,000 of that 4,000. Now we are on the second 2,000 of the 4,000, which we started on Thursday, and then we continue tomorrow. Tomorrow Monday, we are engaging about 400 additional taxpayers, and we'll end on Thursday this week. No, we'll end on Friday rather, 1st November. We'll end on the 1st of November to be able to have all taxpayers being onboarded onto the system. So we engage a lot of stakeholders. We have had an engagement with trade associations as well. We have had an engagement with industries that we want them to know about the E-VAT. So we do stakeholder engagements, and in most cases we have also been appearing on radio, TV stations. We have been doing a lot of adverts to make sure that taxpayers are aware of the system and how we do the onboarding.
Okay, so he mentioned the fact that you have 4,000 taxpayers that you are working with at the moment. How many taxpayers do we have in Ghana?
So far, we have a lot of them, about 45,000 taxpayers that we have.
But why are you limiting it to 4,000?
No, we are doing it in phases.
Okay.
So we started way back 2022. This year we are supposed to do about 4,000. That was the directive that was given to us by the Commissioner General.
Okay.
And we have done that. What he's referring to as a stakeholder engagement that we are embarking on now is that before we can onboard anybody onto the system, we need to sensitize the person.
Absolutely.
So that is what we are doing now. So we have done the first 2,000 engagements already. That was in September. And then onboarding has started, has taken effect. And now we are onboarding the next 2,000. We still have to engage them and let them buy into whatever we are doing so that we wouldn't have challenges. Just go to a taxpayer's premises and tell you that I am coming to onboard you. It doesn't work like that. So we are going to continue with the 2,000 up to Friday, and then we start the onboarding process. It's not a difficult process for anybody to be onboarded.
So if we have like 45,000 taxpayers and you are looking at, for the first phase, 4,000, somebody might say, okay, that's not quite ambitious. How long is it going to take you to ensure that everybody's roped in?
Okay, because we work with directives. The Commissioner General has set out the rules or the guidelines for us to do. We are sure and certain that by 2025 we should be able to complete the process. You see, this is a system work, and so we don't have to just put everybody on it at a go. We need to monitor the system if there are challenges so that we can work on.
Okay. So the time frame you are working with at the moment is what? With the current 4,000 that you are working with, how soon are you expected to be done with them?
So we have different solutions. By default now, we have 3 solutions. We have the free invoicing app. We have those who use their own system. We call it application programming interface. They have their own ERPs. And then they have their own POS or they have their own accounting softwares that they use. And then we have people who also, and we call it off-the-shelf counter, like those who use their own data. They have their own software that they use. We call it off-the-shelf. For such people, because they have their own software that they use, they would have to come to GRA for us to certify the system before they can use it. Now, the 2 solutions that we are using currently is the free invoicing app and the application programming interface. It doesn't take much time. When it comes to the free invoicing app, it's less than a day or 2. If we contact you, we take you through the process. We make sure that you complete the email confirmation. If you are done, we take you through testing. It can be done within a day. And then when it comes to those who use their own system, that is where the challenge is. Because they have to make sure that the system interacts with each other, make sure that all the fields that we expect, they are in alignment before we can onboard them. So because of that, Commissioner General has given a directive that everybody would have to be on the free invoicing app for now. And then if you have any system, we can take you through the system. Because for free invoicing app, it doesn't take much time for us to complete the process. So I am certain that by 2025, we should be able to complete.
Okay. So let me come to Dr. Navarrete and find out from you. If I register my business today, am I going to issue, as it were, manually, or I'm going to migrate it straight to E-VAT?
All right, thank you very much. So just to answer your question and then add something to what Felicia said.
Right.
Yes, if you register your business today and you are registering for the VAT tax type, because we also have tax type registration.
Right.
You will register your business with the Registrar General or the Office of the Registrar General.
Right.
And then you come to GRA for registration and you are registering the tax type of VAT. Immediately we'll put you on the E-VAT.
Right.
Because now we don't want to have a backlog again after getting everybody on board. Then we have to follow up again to onboard new taxpayers. So what we are doing is that everybody automatically at registration, you are put on the E-VAT.
Right.
And just to add to what the question you asked about, if we are doing 4,000 now, when are we going to finish? So what we look out for in the selection of the taxpayers is what we call the Pareto principle, where we are talking about the 80-20 rule, where you are looking at taxpayers who contribute huge to your revenue, who are about 20% of your taxpayer population, contribute 80% of your revenue. And for that matter, you are looking at getting those taxpayers onboarded first. And the 80% who contribute 20%, you are looking at rolling them out. I mean, because they have, some of them, most of them are those who don't even have systems and they have not worked with systems and all that. So in doing that, that is where we are having the 4,600, because we have already done some 650, the large taxpayers and the medium taxpayers who are going to be onboarded. And as he said, for that 4,000 we are looking at, and because of the solutions that we have, we are looking at by close of November, all that 4,000. We have already started. It's not like we are starting today.
Right.
We have already started with that 4,000. So by close of November, we are looking at finishing with the 4,000 and mopping up in December.
Right.
So that in 2025, we are having all other taxpayers onboarded. And there are strategies and mechanisms that we have put in place to make sure that the onboarding becomes seamless and easy for all these taxpayers in 2025.
Right.
Thank
now,
you.
how do I identify, a business that has been onboarded onto the E-VAT? If I go to a shop and I purchase, how am I going to be able to tell as a client or customer or, as a consumer that this business is, E-VAT registered or onboarded?
So thank you very much. So yes, with the identification, we have 3 ways to identify that a taxpayer is E-VAT onboarded. One is that, some businesses even request from the taxpayer a proof of registration on the E-VAT or that you have been onboarded. So there is a letter that is issued from the Commissioner General that you have been onboarded onto the E-VAT and that you are only to issue invoices electronically from the E-VAT. That letter is there. Secondly, the invoice that you issue also has some marks that indicate that you are on E-VAT. One of them is what we call the QR code, and then also the data controller information that you have on the invoice. And then the last one is what we are giving to all taxpayers now, that is the E-VAT decal. The E-VAT decal, that will be pasted on the premise of the taxpayer.
Right.
That indicates that this is an E-VAT onboarded taxpayer. So it means that the moment you enter, you'll be able to see that this is an E-VAT onboarded taxpayer.
Right.
And when you are purchasing, you know that the invoice you are going to get should not be an ordinary invoice, should not be a manual invoice, but it should be an invoice that has the authentication and validation of the Commissioner General.
Right.
That comes in the form of the QR code and the SDC information.
Okay. All right. So let me come to Madam Omotayo. Omotayo.
Yes.
Omotayo, and find out from you the benefits of this whole E-VAT thing to the taxpayer.
There are numerous benefits for them to enjoy, and I want to touch on about 4 of them.
Right.
Especially when it comes to refund. There are instances where people pay taxes in excess. Section 68 of the Revenue Administration Act gives us, the Commissioner General, the mandate to refund a tax, a payment in excess.
Right.
But we cannot just do refund. We make sure that you have to even write to us and then provide documentary evidence that shows that you have really made payment in excess.
Right.
But if you are on this system, record keeping is simple. So at the click of a button, you are able to provide all the necessary documents. And because the system too is for us, we would also be able to authenticate and validate that, yes, this taxpayer has paid taxes in excess. When it comes to record keeping too, it is very key for us, because if you don't keep proper record, we cannot assess you well. Therefore, this system is also going to help, because the system is designed in such a way that it also monitors inventory. So it is going to help for our taxpayers to keep proper records. It is also going to help them to save time when it comes to complying. And when it comes to return filing too, it is also going to help them, because I want to emphasize on this. It is not going to file their returns for them, because the law mandates them to file their tax returns, and it's in Section 28 of the Revenue Administration Act. So if what the system is going to help is that it's going to help you so that in terms of filing your tax returns, the system can calculate what you are supposed to file and then mandate you to file the return. So it is not that the system is going to file your tax returns for you, but it is going to help you. Instead of you sitting down to cast all the receipt books that you have used within the month before you can be able to file your tax returns, at the click of a button, you know your input, you know your output, and you will be able to file your tax returns. And at the same time too, we want to make sure that people who have registered are issuing the VAT invoices. So you don't go to a trader and say that this one, the trader will ask you, do you want a VAT invoice? No. We want a situation whereby everybody, if you are registered, you should make sure that you are issuing the VAT and then accounting to us.
Right. So what are the key features? I think you mentioned 3 earlier where one can authenticate with the Commissioner General seal and all that. What are the key features that one would use to identify the E-VAT, e-invoice?
All right. Thank you very much. So apart from the normal details or data that you find in an invoice that has to do with the taxpayers or the trader's name or the trader's TIN that is going to come, you would also have key that is going to be added from the Commissioner General's point of view is what we call the QR code. Now, the QR code comes to be able to help validate that this invoice has been authenticated and validated by the Commissioner General. Authentication meaning that Commissioner General has assured that the calculations of the tax are right. All the items that are supposed to be taxed are there, and that the amount that you are going to come out with concerning the VAT is also correct. So that validation will be given in the QR code. We also have the system data controller, where you are going to have the security features, some security numbers. The internal data number is there, which is very unique. Every invoice has a unique internal data number. You also have the invoice number. The invoice number is very unique for every invoice, and for that invoice, when you input it, it will bring out all the details of the invoice, that particular invoice that you are dealing with. And then you have the dates and all the other security information that will come. So the SDC information is there, and the QR code is also there. And then the normal items that you will have in the invoice and the VAT amount, the sales amount and all that will also come on the invoice. There are instances where taxpayers or traders want, they already have their invoice that they want their logo to appear on the invoice. It will definitely still be there. Your normal invoice, you have your logo and all that, but you have these details also coming to authenticate the invoice. When those things are not there, especially the QR code and the SDC information is not on the invoice, then that invoice is not valid. It is not from Commissioner General. Now, let me say this. These numbers and these QR codes cannot be regenerated. One cannot be regenerated several times. Each is unique for an invoice. Each is unique for an invoice.
That was going to be my next question. People are so smart that if you issue one today, you look at it, just upon me looking at it, they are able to get one that looks exactly like that.
So it can't. And we also have verifications. So we will do verifications to be able to also know, because the moment you are validating the invoice, it comes to the back end of the Commissioner General for validation and all that. Now, if you are doing it by your own self, that is not coming to the Commissioner General, but that will be a signal because of our one-off kind of invoice invigilations and test purchases and all other validations we'll be doing, definitely will get you, because the system is such that it generates one invoice at it and gives every invoice a unique identifier. That is what the system does.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of denomination, apart from Ghana cedi, can E-VAT be issued in any other currency?
Yes.
Okay.
One can issue the invoice in any other currency. And the official currency is the cedi. That is what the Commissioner General expects that everybody use. However, if you wish that you want to issue an invoice in any other currency, you need to seek authorization from the Bank of Ghana. Okay. So the Governor of Bank of Ghana would have to give you that authorization. If they give you that authorization, you need to write back to the Commissioner General and add that authorization that has been given to you, so that the Commissioner General can permit you to issue any other invoices in other currencies. So the official currency is the Ghana cedi, but one can also issue invoices if that person has been given authorization by the Governor of Bank of Ghana.
Right. Okay, so this is our report here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at the impact of the implementation of the E-VAT on businesses and tax compliance in Ghana. The GRA is issuing, E-VAT, and it's going to be rolled out pretty shortly. They are currently engaged in stakeholder consultations, and initial 4,000 that they are working with, and you hear them, they've done 2,000, they are migrating to the other, they are going to the other 2,000, and when they are done, gradually, they would rope in everybody, and then we shall have a smooth exercise. And so they are getting the buy-in of all the stakeholders. With us in the studios, Dr. Stephen Nabarise, who is a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Regional Authority, and indeed, Madam Felicia Omotayo Owusu, yes, who is also a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Regional Authority. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. This is High on Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at the impact of the implementation of the E-VAT by the Ghana Regional Authority on businesses and tax compliance in Ghana. With us in the studios, Dr. Stephen Nabarese, who is a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Regional Authority. Doc, we're glad that you're still with us. And then indeed, Madam Felicia Omotayo Owusu, also in the studios with us. She's also a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Regional Authority. I've been told by the production team that you can call in and contribute to the discussion. The number to dial will scroll on your screen right now. That's it, 020-55283-53, 020-55283-53. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. Now, let me come to you, Doc, this time around and start with you and find out from you whether a cancelled E-VAT invoice number can be used again.
All right, thank you very much. So in the earlier presentation, I indicated that every invoice has a unique invoice number.
Yes.
So the moment you cancel an invoice, it means that that invoice is gone, that invoice number is gone. If you are issuing another invoice, comes with a different invoice number. So if an invoice is cancelled, and which the system can help you cancel invoices, I mean, and it's done, people come and there's a purchase and they don't want the purchase again, and you can cancel the invoice.
Right.
So the entire invoice can be cancelled. And then when you cancel that invoice, you cannot use that invoice number again for anything, either for maybe the business for input tax claim. You can't do that because it will not be recorded in the system, and so it will be rejected. Or the same taxpayer for any output or sales reporting of the VAT. No. So the invoice is cancelled and is cancelled. And that means that any other invoice will have to be issued.
Right.
The other issue is that some may rather not cancel the invoice, but they may be refunds in the invoice. So somebody buys about 2 items, 3 items. He doesn't want one. He wants to return that one and then keep the other. The system allows you to return those items, that item on the invoice, and then issue an invoice in that with the different items.
Yes.
And then if you just even want to return all the items, you can also do that. That's just synonymous to a cancellation of an invoice.
Right.
So it means that you can return it, cancel that invoice, and then issue another invoice on that. So straight away, if an invoice is cancelled, it cannot be reused. It cannot be reused.
Okay. Madam, what are the types of E-VAT solutions?
Okay. So in my earlier presentation, I was explaining the 3 types that we have.
Okay.
We have the free invoicing app.
Okay.
And then we have those who use their own system. That is the application programming interface. And then we have the off-the-shelf. They are the people who have their own software that they sell it out for retailers to use.
Right.
So these are the 3 solutions that we have. So for those, the free invoicing app, it is for basically the Commissioner General brought it for those who issue their own manual invoice. That is the Commissioner General's invoice. They come to the GRA office and then they buy the invoices from us, and then they will go and issue it out. At the end of the month, they are supposed to come in accounts for us. Those are those ones is what we are referring to as the free invoicing app. And then we have those who have their own systems. So for them, they would come to the GRA office for Commissioner General to give them authorization for them to be able to issue their own invoices.
Because that was what I was going to ask. Whether as a software developer,
Yes.
If I have my own invoicing software, can it be certified by GRA?
Yes. So that is the third solution.
Right.
For the second solution, they come to the office. We go and inspect their system, and then we call it special dispensation. So we give them that authorization for them to use their own system receipts. So we call it own computer-generated invoices. They have that mandate. For them, they will be given the API documentation so that they can integrate into the Commissioner General's system and then use. And then we have the software, those who have their own softwares that they sell for retailers to be able to use. Now, because of the way we want to onboard everybody onto the system, the Commissioner General says that everybody by default, when you look at the tax law, the law was amended in the year 2022 to cater in for the issuance of the electronic invoices. So Section 41 of the VAT Act 2013, Act 817, has been amended to cater for the issuance of electronic invoices. So by default, everybody is supposed to issue the invoices via electronic means. But because we are rolling out in phases, that is why we have this. So the three solutions that we have is the free invoicing app, we have the API, and then the software, those who have their own software, that they would come to us for us to authenticate and certify their system for them to be able to sell to.
Okay. You want to add?
So if I may add to what Felicia said.
Yes,
just as she said about the default of issuing invoices is the electronic invoicing regime now. If you look at those who had their own computer-generated invoices in the previous regime, they still, some of them still, or all of them were still mandated to have the manual invoice. In the event where they were not unable to issue the invoice through their system, they will use the manual. That's the reason why one of the reasons why the free invoicing solution has become a default.
Right.
So every taxpayer goes with the free invoicing. Now for the certification requirements, the certification that you mentioned, the Ghana Revenue Authority has also developed certification requirements, as she said, for the third-party developers.
Okay.
These certification requirements will be published. And once they are published, taxpayers who have their own softwares, third-party softwares, who sell to businesses, can apply through a portal. So that will be published. The portal will be published so that they apply through the portal. GRA will verify and be sure that your system is actually ready. Then the E-VAT will be integrated in your system, and then you can sell it off the shelf. So anybody who comes to buy now has the E-VAT already integrated in the system and then uses it for business.
What would I require to use the free invoicing software by GRA?
Okay. What you need is just a desktop or like your tablets that you have, or a mobile phone, or a laptop. And then you need an internet connectivity. That's all. And then a browser. So these are the three things that you need. And then you are good to go. We'll set you up. And then you can sit in your comfort and then issue out invoices.
My next question was going to be on security, but I think you've dealt with security already because you said nobody can do anything about it. It's unique.
It's unique.
It's very unique. Absolutely.
It is serialized in such that nobody can tamper with it.
So next, how do I get my system integrated with E-VAT?
So just as we said, the process is that we do, first of all, we can do selection, we can do by application or tax type registration. If it is by selection, that is the phased selection, once we get you, we take you through a training or a sensitization as we are doing. And then you will fill what we call the onboarding form. We have a form that you fill. Once you fill the onboarding form, we'll send you a mail to confirm. And the moment you confirm, we are able to know by default that all of you will be given the free invoicing. And also we are able to know from the onboarding form if you are using a system. If you are using a system, you will indicate in the form the kind of system you are using, the kind of ERP you are using. If it's a POS, an ERP, you know. If you indicate that, it becomes easier because you are going to be assigned a relationship manager, and then the technical people are also going to be with you.
Right.
And then you'll be issued the API documentation for your technical people to go through. That's for those at the leg that she said,
Right.
who want to do integration with their system. But when it comes to the free invoicing, that one is automatic. The moment you do the confirmation and you are assigned your credentials as the company, the next thing we do is we do direct and detailed training for you. How do you upload your items? How do you cancel? How do you refund? How do you issue? All those details are done separately.
Yeah.
But if you are going into integration into your ERP, we provide you with the API documentation. You go through the API, you integrate the API into your software that you have, and then that interaction continues at that level.
Right.
So you will let us know the kind of ERP you are using. The moment we know that from the form you have filled, then we continue from there.
All right. This whole E-VAT thing, is it internet driven? Can I access or use it without internet connectivity?
Yes. You can. So we have people that they can issue the invoices offline. When we say offline, it means that they don't have internet. But they will need internet to get the security key. When they acquire the security key, they can work offline. And then at the end of the day, within 24 hours, we expect that they should be connected to the internet, and then we can get data in our system. It doesn't mean that the data, whatever they are issuing, we cannot see it. We can see it, but we cannot see the details of whatever purchase that went. But we know that this amount, you have collected this amount on our behalf, or you have issued this amount of invoice to a trader or a client.
Yeah.
That is what it means. So at the end of the day, within 24 hours, the Commissioner General expects that you connect to an internet and then push all the data to us.
Right.
So you can issue it offline.
I see. Okay, can a non-resident in Ghana who offers services or provides services to clients in Ghana be onboarded onto the system?
Thank you very much. So that becomes the issue of the VAT Act.
Yes.
So once the consumption is done in Ghana, you are looking at the consumption, the destination of consumption. Once the consumption is done in Ghana, then you are looking at the tax. But what happens is that we also have what we call the e-commerce unit.
Okay.
So what you do first is that you have to get to the e-commerce unit and register.
Okay.
Once you have registered with the e-commerce unit, the e-commerce unit will now move you and will know the requirements you need and what we can do to onboard you onto the E-VAT.
Yeah.
So yes, that is done. We have a couple of these taxpayers who are onboarded onto the E-VAT through the e-commerce unit in GRA. So that is also something that we do in the E-VAT.
Okay. All right. So sanctions for non-compliance, and how punitive are they, if there are any at all?
Yes. Thank you very much. So, just as we said in the amendment of the law, in the amendment of 41, Section 41 of the E-VAT Act,
yes,
we went ahead to also amend the offenses and the sanctions. We added on to the offenses and the sanctions in 11, subsection 11 of the 41. And what we looked out is that, we are now saying that issue the invoices through the certified invoicing system.
Right.
Initially it was, you were supposed to issue the invoice. Now, for failing to issue the invoice through the Commissioner General's certified invoicing system is an offense.
Right.
Also, for not allowing the GRA to onboard you or refusing to be onboarded onto the electronic invoicing system is also an offense. And then if you refuse to connect your system to the GRA, because what we do is that we are going to connect you, we are going to onboard you.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible that a taxpayer would decide to go off the E-VAT suit. And the moment you go off this E-VAT suit, we get to see and we get to know. So the moment you go off the E-VAT suit without any particular reason that we know will allow you to go off the E-VAT suit, it also becomes an offense that is sanctionable. So among the sanctions which we have also revised or amended is that we are not taking them in isolation. We are not taking them in isolation. sanctions in the RA, that's the Revenue Administration Act, and then sanctions in the E-VAT, in the VAT Act, go in line.
Yes.
So we are looking at sanctions of not onboarding or refusing to be onboarded, where you are supposed to have about 500 penalty units, and then 1,000 penalty units, and then you are also supposed to have an imprisonment or both. These are sanctions that come together.
Right.
Now, if you go to the Revenue Administration Act, there are also sanctions for refusing to issue an invoice or refusing to go by the instructions of the Commissioner General.
Right.
All that will come together to play in the sanctions that will be given to you when you refuse or when you commit any of the offences that I have mentioned.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Madam Omotayo. How do taxpayers get assistance from the GRA in relation to onboarding? So if I am a viewer or listener watching now and wanting to perhaps access this particular service voluntarily, I want to come to your office and get onboarded. How do I go about it?
Thank you. So the taxpayer or the entity is supposed to contact our toll-free lines, which will give the numbers out after we are done, or walk into any of our TSCs, that's the Taxpayer Service Centers, and then contact the TSC manager that this is what I want to be onboarded, and then we'll assist you. So it's simple. You just have to walk into any of the TSCs and then get assistance from there, or call via our toll-free numbers, and then we will assist you.
Do you really have the toll-free numbers?
Yes, we have. I think, let me mention 0800 something.
If you can put them out so that
oh, sure, we will.
People can access if they want to. Makes sense to get them to voluntarily
do so. We have the GRA Contact Center. So we have 020 926 7047.
Can you go over there?
020 926 7047.
Right.
And then we have 020 926 7049.
Right.
So 704749.
Right.
And then we have the toll-free number. That is 0800 900 110.
0800 900
110. That is the toll-free line. You can call at any time, and then you get assistance.
Okay. So this is our import. We have a new segment, and that's the health or safety tip segment. And tonight we have the safety tip segment, and what we have for you is safety helmet. Safety helmet. Let's take a look at it. When we come, we'll now take your messages.
Safety helmet. Safety helmets or hard hats are designed to protect the head against falling objects and the side of the head, eyes, and neck from any untoward impacts, bumps, scraps, and electrical exposure, etc.
That was our safety tip for this week. We're now going to your inbox to bring you the messages that you sent to us. This one is from Manuel in Kaswa. He says, how will the transition to E-VAT impact small businesses that currently rely on manual invoicing?
Okay, so for if I get the question right, it means that small businesses who are VAT taxpayers who are issuing invoices through the manual regime. So as we indicated, all these small businesses will also be migrated onto the E-VAT. The system is that you are going to just use a mobile phone as a small business to be able to issue your invoice. It becomes easier with a mobile phone, or if you have a tablet, if you have a desktop, it is easier. Now the impact is that you are going to have a positive impact. My colleague said that you as a business would even be able to have data readily available for your own analytics. It helps you as a small business to be able to know how your sales have been moving, to be able to, without your manual way of calculating your tax, easy for you to be able to calculate your tax, because we know that some of these small businesses sometimes even have to look for ways of calculating the tax on the invoice. It becomes tedious. A lot of calculators to be able to punch to do the invoice and all that. It's seamless. The moment you put the amount, your tax is calculated. It makes it easier for you. So that is a very positive impact for taxpayers who are small businesses, and it also helps them in the filing that she mentioned. If you are going to, what we are doing is to make sure that we are integrating the taxpayers portal with the E-VAT, and then it becomes easier for filing. Your VAT 20, which is the return, will automatically be populated for your verification. And once you verify and sign, you click a button and filing is done for you easily. And GRA is already doing filing online, so it becomes easier for you to do your filing. So those are very good impacts that will benefit small businesses as we move on.
Okay. Abi Temi in Nungwa says, can you elaborate on the training and resources available for businesses to help them adapt to the E-VAT system effectively?
Okay. So when it comes to training, we don't just onboard the person and then ask the person to go live. We do training. So we make sure that the person understands. The person will be taken through every aspect of it in terms of issuance of the invoice, when it's refund, what you're supposed to do, and all that thing. So the training is very important for us. If we have not trained you, we cannot allow you to even issue the invoices. And then the resources. You see, you need, as a small business, as I said, for the free invoicing app, you would need a desktop, a mobile phone or a tablet, something that you can use. And with these resources, you are supposed to purchase them. And then when you purchase them, it is not a loss to the company. Because when you are filing your tax returns at the end of the year, there's something that we grant, we call it capital allowance. These are capital intensive that you have got. So it means that you need these equipment for you to be able to issue the invoices electronically. So the resources, you would have to purchase it. But at the end of the day, you have a way of refunding it. The GRA would give you that refund. In terms of capital allowance, we'll grant you capital allowance. But make sure that whatever you are acquiring, the resources that you are acquiring, it is in line of the business. It is not your personal interest, but for the business.
Okay. Hi on Port. My name is Joyce Entry. I just tuned in to the discussion. I'm sure you have said this before in the discussion, but what measures are in place to ensure the security and privacy of sensitive financial information within the E-VAT system?
Thank you very much. So we can always assure taxpayers that their data is always secured with the Commissioner General, with GRA. We have been dealing with taxpayers, and we know the sensitive information, the sensitive data that we have been dealing with. The E-VAT system is secured, is properly secured, such that every taxpayer's transaction is unique and it goes in line. No other taxpayer sees any other taxpayer's transaction, 1. 2, no taxpayer or any unauthorized person can go into the system to check anybody's data or anybody's transactions. What happens is that the company or the business has control over who they assign to be able to issue invoices in the company. So a lot of companies or businesses have sales people. Now you have an administrator who assign people to be able to issue those invoices. Behind the scenes, those people are unable to go behind and even see the data. It is only the administrator or the authorized person who can see the data in the company, in that company. And apart from the GRA officers who have also been assigned to see. Now, what we also have done is that, GRA has also been certified by ISO. So we are looking at all our systems in ISO certified. So meaning that our security for GRA is high. And we don't take it for granted, because we always want to make sure that taxpayers' information is very secured.
Now, I know you used to have the monitoring team that moved to shops. Perhaps I know Melcom and other huge shops used to have some of your personnel that just to monitor compliance in terms of issuance of E-VAT and all that, or VAT, VAT invoicing and all Will the coming into being of E-VAT take away that responsibility?
Thank you very much. So compliance monitoring is a tool in taxation. And so compliance monitoring comes in different forms. The E-VAT system comes with a tool for its own compliance monitoring.
Right.
However, we are not moving away from other compliance monitoring tools of moving around to check on a few things. One, the E-VAT system has a compliance, an inbuilt compliance monitoring tool, which I talked about, the scanning of the QR code.
Yes.
So the normal citizen purchases and can use the normal QR code scanner to scan the QR code of the invoice. It details whether the taxpayer is actually complying or not. And then we also have a system behind the scenes that monitor how many taxpayers are issuing invoices, who are those who have not issued invoices within the period, who are those connected, who are those who have not been connected, and all that. That is also a tool behind the scene for GRA to be able to do that monitoring. However, we also have what we call one-off checks that we can do across. We can send our officers to just do one-off checks and see what is going on with the businesses. So people can just, and what we are going to also establish is we are going to establish kiosks. Self-tracking kiosks in front of businesses, so that a citizen can just purchase when you move out. You go to the kiosk and scan and move on by see whether your invoice is valid, it's not valid. If it's not valid, you quickly report to GRA and then we take it on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so for purposes of emphasis, certified invoicing system, that's commonly referred to as e-voice or E-VAT, is an electronic invoicing system certified by the Commissioner General in accordance with the Value Added Tax 2013 Act 870 as amended. E-VAT is not a new tax. It is not a new tax, but a compliance tool and an improvement on how VAT transactions are invoiced. That's for emphasis. So we'd like to say big thanks to you, Dr. Stephen Nabarese, member E-VAT team, Ghana Regional Authority, and indeed Madam Felicia Omotayo Owusu. Yes, also a member of the E-VAT team at the Ghana Regional Authority, for obliging us this evening here on Iron Port to take a look at the impact of the implementation of E-VAT and compliance on businesses and compliance in tax as far as tax is concerned in our country. We're grateful to you. We are sure that anytime we call on you when the need arises, you would always oblige us. We'd like to say big thanks here to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, GOEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority-GPHA. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port program. My name is Kennedy Mona. We wish you a super week ahead, and we thank you so much for choosing us. Have a blessed evening.